You are a real purist. So you never went on Mastermind, you've never done The Chase or any of those other shows for celebrity or for money. It was
Uh,
always about, the thrill of just
yeah,
being the best.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
if I was the best, then yeah, great.
and
Yeah.
also, you've used your celebrity very wisely, I have to say, for the most part, in that you do a lot of charitable work and you've helped me out with some charitable stuff as well. So thank you for that. But you do, I think you wear your celebrity very well, if you don't mind me saying. So that's enough um, praise. I'm not used to giving you praise, Shaun, so I'm going
No,
to
you know,
move on.
I'm wondering what's happening here because I rarely get praise from you, so yeah, so which is good.
Uh,
That's the way
um,
I like it. That's the way it should be.
let's move on. Let's talk about your book then. So
Mhm.
perhaps you'd like to just show it to the audience so they can see what it looks like.
You can see at the back there, the book at the back. Those are the three things which define my life: my love of law, my love of learning, and my love of football. Because all three of them combined at the same time to help me achieve an unlikely distinction, I suppose.
You had a disaster with the autobiography, and I think you should share the story
Yeah.
because it's just a fantastic example of motivation and perseverance. So
Yeah.
what happened with the
Well, once I
autobiography?
finally finished it in 2003, I thought 2015, I thought that's it. It's taken me all that time. And because of the fact that I'm not the most computer literate person in the world, all the stuff which I typed up, I didn't back up at all. And my computer crashed and I lost it, everything. And it was a complete, I spent the best part of a week trying to retrieve it, couldn't retrieve it. Then I ended up sort of sleeping in a darkened room for a month, growing a long beard. Didn't want to see the light of day because I was so gutted that all that hard work had basically come to nothing. Then I thought to myself, well, you can either do one or two things. You can mope or you can basically start again because you want people to read your story. If you want people to realize the journey that you've gone through, if you want people to share the experiences which I've gone through and hopefully inspire them to great achievements and I've achieved in my life, then you know what? Start again. And I did.
How long did it take you to write the book
3 years.
again?
3 years.
God.
Another 3 years.
But it was worth it. So
It
tell
was,
us about the book. Obviously, it's about you.
yeah, it's about me, but it's more about my life's journey. Now, people have asked me, why haven't you talked about the sort of relationships you've had in your life? Because I have had relationships, and the simple reason is this: firstly, what goes behind closed doors stays behind closed doors, in my view, and secondly, I would want to write an autobiography from one perspective, which the other person who might be part of that story might not agree with. So rather than do that, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to mention them at all. And it's not out of any discourtesy or disrespect, because I've mentioned that in the foreword. Some people in my life have helped me and some have hindered me. I wouldn't want to say who's who and be disrespectful to any past relationships that I did have. But the story isn't about relationships. As I say, I said to people, if you want to read about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, go and buy Katie Price's autobiography. My story is not all about that. My story is about my journey, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the journey which has taken me to where I've got to today, and the sort of hardship I've gone through and the sort of joy I've gone through in making that journey, which still continues to this day. Hence the reason why it's called Chasing the Dream. Because as I said to you before, once you set success, all it simply does is bring you to the start line of a different challenge. And if you rest on your laurels, that's when you stop growing as an individual. So that's why I'm still continuing to chase dreams. So the reason why I wrote it is because in the aftermath of me losing the Eggheads Grand Final, I retired after winning Mastermind, but I was persuaded, more like begged by BBC to be part of a new search for a new Egghead in 2008. And they rang me 3 times and I turned them down 3 times. I said, look, I can't tell a judge I'm leaving in the middle of an important trial just to do a quiz show. They'd have told me where to get off. So what they did, they made me do all the recordings at the weekend, and they put me up against some really stiff challenges. In the second round, I met the reigning world quiz champion at the time.
Wow.
So they thought I wasn't going to last long, and I knocked him out. and there was only one recording day left, and I was going to pull out because I was supposed to start a trial the following day, and it was a really important trial. But once they said that, once my client told me that we can put that case back for you, Shaun, I said, all right, then I'll do it. And I would have generally pulled out. I had no qualms about that because so far as my case is concerned, law comes first and my client's interest comes first. So anyway, because there was only one recording day left, they said, look, Shaun, if you want to win the competition, you've got to win the quarterfinal, semi-final, final all in one day. So I said, all right, bring it on. So I was in the studio for 13 hours. Won the quarterfinal, won the semi-final, and the last part of my book talks about the grand final, and it was just I thought I was on the threshold of another massive milestone in my life in terms of a quizzing achievement, but I fell just short. So the book starts and finishes when I lost that Eggers grand final, and I tell my life story within the hour of listening to Steely Dan's greatest hits. Which I did.
Fantastic. And where can people buy the book?
Well, you can either get it by my publisher called Cranthorpe Milner, or if you go to my Twitter page at the Shaun Wallace, at the front of it, it's got the link you can get to buy the book. And
it's
people
on Amazon as well.
You can get it on Amazon. I don't think Amazon are doing it no more. So if you actually go to my link, you can go directly to my publisher. So if you go to my Twitter, all the information is there. Cranthorpemilner.com, I think it's something like www.cranthorpemilner.com.
Fantastic. And, I'm going to end by asking you 7 questions. So the first one, your worst experience at the bar.
My worst experience at the bar, I'm going to be frank, is probably when I had that disciplinary hearing in 2016. It was a very, very disappointing thing for me to allow myself to be put in that position whereby I thought I'd do my client a great disservice. But I thought going over the top by going to his home address without a solicitor being present, taking instructions, and so on and so forth. And when it all went wrong, obviously he complained. And I realized the error of my ways, and I reported myself to the Bar Council rather than be sought out, because I knew that I allowed my standards, the very high standards I set for myself, to slip, and it slipped. So they took that into account when they reprimanded me. That I had the presence of mind to at least recognize my failings by reporting myself. But they said I should have known better. So I suppose that was the worst day, the most embarrassing day, the most worst day. But it was a learning day because it taught me that you should never, ever take anything for granted, and you should always do something, especially in a profession like ours, in the right and proper way.
Best experience at the bar?
I suppose the best experience at the bar, I suppose every time I've won a trial, it's really satisfying. I suppose the biggest trial I won was the trial I did at the Old Bailey last year. It lasted just over 2 months. It's probably the biggest trial I've ever done. I was number 1 on the indictment. People couldn't believe that I stood a chance of clearing my client, but if you failed to prepare, you're prepared to fail, and I really prepared that case really well. And I suppose when we got the first 3 verdicts of not guilty, then I had to wait 9 days for the remaining, and everybody'd gone. They'd all been cleared except for my client. And once the jury came back with their umpteenth note, and the question they posed, I thought, I'm going to get off here. And 20 minutes later, I did. So I suppose that was really, really satisfying.
One law that you would change, and why?
I suppose if I had to get rid of one law, I suppose I was dead against the adverse inference.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still am not a great fan of that. But I suppose if I had to change one rule, it would probably, everybody does have the right to silence. I suppose if I had to get rid of one rule, it would be that.
well, everyone still has the right to silence. It's just that
Yeah,
now certain influences can be drawn if they
exactly. Yeah,
choose not to, if they choose to exercise that right.
yeah, yeah. I suppose that would
Okay.
be, yeah.
All right. One person you would love to meet, dead or alive.
At my home, I've got a mural on my wall called My Inspiration, ranging from people like Sojourner Truth to Dano Ikoleano, to Bob Marley, to Nelson Mandela, and so on. So Tommy Smith, who gave the Black Power salute at the 1968 Olympic Games. And in the middle, I've got my mum and dad, because they are my greatest inspiration. I suppose if I had to choose one, I suppose my greatest hero of all time would always be Muhammad Ali. So it'd probably be him.
One piece of advice you would give to a pupil barrister.
The one advice I'd give to a pupil barrister is this. You've entered into a profession which gets harder and harder every year. The mere fact that you've got this far means that you're still on the right track to getting there, wherever you want to achieve. I would always say perseverance. It took me 5 years really to get my first brief in the Crown Court. So I would simply still say persevere, because the one thing I always say to young people or young entrants at the bar is this, that the bar doesn't have a future unless we have people like you, and it will wither on the vine if we don't have talent, diverse talent, which will help the bar thrive and survive. And yes, I know it's very, very competitive, but always believe that you've got the competitive instinct within you to make it. So I'd say keep on going.
How do you motivate yourself to keep on going?
I motivate myself to keep on going because I'm always setting goals and challenges for myself. I mean, I'm at the ripe old age of 61 now. And for me, it's always about wanting to improve. The minute you think you've made it, that's when you're on your way down. And the one thing which always keeps me going is this: I'm only as good as my last closing speech. I'm only as good as the last question I answered correctly on the chase, no better. So if I want to improve, I've got to work harder.
And finally, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I see myself in 5 years' time, hopefully still working in the media, hopefully still practicing, and hopefully still inspiring the next generation to basically be prepared to hand over the torch of responsibility, which I have to hand over one day.
Mr. Shaun, Dark Destroyer.
Dr. Shaun.
Sorry, forgive me. Dr. Shaun, Dark Destroyer Wallace. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.